They gave me an RMA for both units. I don't know what's going to happen. All right, what's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. I'm Mike. I'm a outside sales professional by day, and by night I am a tech enthusiast. Anyways, today's video we are going to be talking about something that I found out, which is potentially kind of a big deal. I am, to give you guys some context, I am a total Be Quiet fanboy. So I love their products. Their build quality just looks fantastic, and just overall, from the aesthetic to the performance, I have just always really preferred their products. In a previous build, I had a Dark Power 13 Pro, 1300 watt power supply, and it worked great for a long time. Had that when I had a 4090. And then when I got a 5090, that power supply, when I would run it at full load, like doing a Steel Nomad benchmark or something like that, it would trip and it would go into like a safeguard because of the amount of voltage that it was pulling, and it would just shut it down. So I reached out to Be Quiet when this was happening, not knowing really how to fix it. And it turns out that they had a single rail mode where you could switch it to being single rail instead of a multi-rail PSU, and that should fix the problem. So I did that. I installed it. It was like a little piece that fit into your computer separately. You had to plug it into the power supply and you could switch the mode. So that worked for a while. And then Be Quiet announced the Dark Power 14 power supply, which you see here. And this power supply, even though it wasn't a pro model, it was only 100 watts less than what I was using. So 1200 watts for me should be fine. But the main reason I wanted to upgrade to it was because that overclock mode was right here on the back. So instead of having a separate piece that takes up one of your like PCI brackets on the back of your case, this just has the button right here. So when you want to go into single rail mode, you could just flip it on. So when I installed it, this power supply actually didn't need to be in single rail mode for just gaming. So fantastic, didn't even need it, just plugged it in, and it was a massive improvement for me versus the 13. Recently, I started using a LLM, a private one. So it's a story for a different video, but essentially I downloaded my own private AI and I've been running it on my computer. Now, when I originally installed it on my computer and started running it, the same thing happened with this power supply. As soon as I would ask the AI a question or give it a prompt, it goes from an idle state on the GPU on the 5090, spikes up power, and then the power supply, goes into safeguard mode, shuts down the PC. So I figured, okay, no problem. I'll just go on the back and flip the switch and we should be good to go. That wasn't the case. I put it into overclock mode, changed it into single rail mode, booted the computer back up, ran another test, and boom, safeguard again. I am in a weird position to where I actually had two of the same power supply. Before I bought this Mac, I was actually running a dual PC setup, and going away from that, I parted out that PC, but I never sold the power supply. So I figured, okay, maybe it's just this power supply type deal. So I swapped out, threw the other dark power in there. Same thing happened. So essentially, I think that the algorithm or the software, however they have it written, the safeguards on these power supplies are just too tight for 5090s. So if you have a 5080 or below, you'll probably be okay. But if you are running a 5090 and pushing it, to not its limit, but using it for an LLM or just any like bursty type of workloads, this power supply, I don't think is tuned for that. And the problem with that is it's marketed that way. it's marketed as a flagship 1200 watt titanium power supply, which is the exact reason I bought it, because I want the best of the best. So to prove it was just a power supply issue, I went out and I got this ROG Strix 1200 watt platinum, which is a single rail, not a multi-rail unit. Plugged it in and no issues. My LLM runs no problem, spins up, gaming's no issue. So it's definitely a problem with these units. So unfortunately now, sitting here on this desk, I have two $300 paperweight power supplies. That might be a little harsh because they will run normal things, but just not, everything that you want. But for $300 a pop, you definitely would expect them to be able to run anything that you throw at it. And on top of that, I went out and bought a $260 power supply. So now I have $860 pre-tax in power supplies. So I am swimming in power supplies. But I did reach out to Be Quiet on this and let them know what was going on. Told them like, hey, look, I'm a longtime supporter. I absolutely love your products. I've bought in, between air coolers and AIOs for my builds and friends' builds, I've bought in at least 10 coolers from you guys. I've had at least 4 power supplies. I've used cases, you name it. I've probably purchased at least 30 of the Silent Wings Pro 4 fans. So obviously I'm a fanboy of the brand and I really would like, just some sort of resolution for them. So I let them know exactly what was going on. They asked for my specs. They gave me an RMA for both units. I don't know what's going to happen. I asked them to verify if there was any sort of change in the tuning of these power supplies to allow them to run. When you go from idle to prompting a 5090, you get a massive surge of voltage and power, and it just needs to not be able to safeguard as strictly. You still want a safeguard built into a power supply, but you want it, if it's only just a couple of seconds where it goes over, you want it to be able to handle it. So, I'm not a engineer. These guys who are building these things are probably smarter than mine, but the fact that this power supply runs no issue, and these are tripping themselves, tells me that it's just an issue with the algorithm. I don't know what the right word is, but the way that these are tuned. So hopefully they can fix it. And I know they have the Dark Power Pro 14 that's coming out, and it's like a new I/O device, which you can actually, see what your power supply is doing under software. So I don't know if that unit will be, a better fix for it, but hopefully they can get these replaced with some working units, or swap me out and just give me, I don't need 2 units anymore. I'd take, one 1600 watt unit in exchange for these 2. But we'll see what they say. They've been responsive so far, and I'm about to get these shipped out in a couple days. But I just wanted to let you guys know. If you have a 5090, I know not everybody does, obviously, especially with them costing so much these days. But if you have a 5090 or a multi-GPU setup, and you're starting to, run AI models or do just anything heavy lifting on your GPUs, you might be looking at this power supply and thinking it's a great option. But I would advise you to maybe look at a different option, unfortunately. And hopefully they can fix it and, get this back and running. I'd much rather, these things, the build quality, they're gorgeous power supplies. I know probably not many people geek out on the looks of what a power supply is, but they're beautiful products. So I'd rather put this back in my system and return this, but we'll see what they say. I should have these shipped off hopefully in the next 24 hours, and I'll keep you guys posted as they, address this situation and as they provide me with hopefully a resolution pretty soon. So anyways, just a short one for you guys. Wanted to give you a heads up in case you were looking at these power supplies and you are running some high-end hardware. I'd probably, for now, go with a different product.